Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another episode of the Queen Mimi Podcast on our Sunday Positivity Talk. This is yours truly, Queen Mimi, and we hope that everybody is doing good, staying blessed, and of course, staying safe and taking care of yourselves out there. Okay, you guys, we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. We have a special guest. We've had wonderful people on the show so far. Great conversation, great topic. Love the calm, cool environment. And today's guest will be no different. She told me a little bit about her story, her testimony, if you will, but I definitely want to hear more. We all have our trauma and things that we deal with personally, if you will, especially mentally. And of course, y'all know we tell our story here all the time on the show. And I definitely want to hear hers. I heard some how can I say it? Tragedies. Guess that would be the best way to put it. She's definitely going to explain more about that, you guys. So, without further ado, we're going to welcome Paula M. Kramer to the show. Hello, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I got enough sleep last night, even though it was spring ahead night. I
I know. We almost
went
forgot
to
about the time change. So thank you for coming and being a guest on the Queen Mimi podcast. Definitely, I said I know you told me a little bit about your story before we got on, but whatever you're comfortable sharing, I know it's been some very personal
Yes, it is.
tragedies and things, if you will. So tell us a little bit more about that and what got you to helping other women now.
My mother tried to kill me twice when I was a baby. I have memories, and I have found research that shows that babies can have visual memories as young as 3 months old of trauma. So I remember being murdered. She tried to murder me because I was her second daughter instead of her first son. She had been raised to believe that she could prove herself a worthy woman only as the mother of a son. And she came from a mother who was paranoid schizophrenic. My grandmother, well, I don't know if my grandmother tried to kill my mother, but my mother was also the second daughter who was supposed to be a first son. Well, it was supposed to be a son. My grandparents had a baby boy first, but he died in infancy. Then my Aunt Terry was born, and then my mother. So she was in the same position I was. My grandmother did have murderous tendencies because she threatened my grandfather with a butcher knife, and he took it so seriously that he left the family. My mother and her sister were left with a narcissistic mother who did not know how to nurture. Her mother had not nurtured her, and my mother did not know how to nurture any of her children. So she needed to feel worthy with a son. Luckily for me, a son came right after me. When I was 12 years old, a boy in school pulled my chair out from under me and I landed hard on my tailbone. Medical professionals misdiagnosed that injury for 33 years. I have lived with out of place bones for 61 years, pelvis, hips, and vertebra. I did get correct diagnosis and I got the correct treatment, but my muscles are still learning how to do things normally because they had to do everything abnormally for decades when my bones were out of place. I still have some vertebrae shifting out of place, but my pelvis and hips are mostly staying in place now. When I was 28, my husband died suddenly when our daughter was 8 months old. So I was a single parent with bones out of place, trying to stay alive in the world. And I did stay alive, obviously. My daughter had a lot to do with that because my family would not believe that I had a serious back injury. They thought my pain was emotional. Even though it started with an accident, they thought my pain was emotional. My mother had taught everyone in our family, close family and relatives, to ignore what I said and discount what I did to protect herself for anything I might say about her trying to murder me. So they didn't believe me when I talked about back pain. They just didn't believe me. So they wouldn't help. When my daughter was 10 years old, she started babysitting and used her babysitting money to help pay bills and buy food. I'm in live in part because of my daughter. my resilient daughter. And I, of course, want to help other women because my mother did not get what she needed. She did not get the feeling of value she needed for being who she was. She could feel valuable only as the mother of a son. I had a psychologist brother in law who described the son who came after me as the God, because that's how my mother treated him, as the God in the family. And he described himself to me as her knight in shining armor. I didn't understand what the reason was for the murder attempts until I was 34 years old. And the God explained it to me. He said, "You were supposed to be a boy. I'm her knight in shining armor," something to that effect. So that's when I finally understood why my mother tried to kill me. She didn't get the value she needed. So now I'm doing my best to change stereotypes. I've lived with stereotypes all my life. My mother stereotyped me as a threat the day I was born. I want to change the thinking about women and boys and everyone to end stereotyping and to make sure people feel valued so that they don't have to harm other people to feel good about themselves. And you want to say something, Mimi?
Oh, no, no, no. You go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
And I do it through teaching people soft skill power strategies. My father loved me, and he told me I was his favorite child, which is something parents shouldn't do, but it kept me sane growing up with the mother who tried to kill me. But my mother was emotionally abusive to everyone in our family. So she was emotionally abusive to my father. He really loved her. So this emotional abuse hit him very hard. He became a quiet alcoholic. He would go off to his job during the day, then come home and drink 2 or 3 quarts of beer at night to bury his feelings. Of course, feelings can't stay buried. So he would go into occasional rages that lasted for hours or days. I was terrified of my mother, but I was afraid of my father in these rages because during one of those rages, he unintentionally broke my sister's arm, my older sister's arm. He didn't mean to, but he did it. He broke her arm. So I was afraid of him, terrified of my mother, afraid of my father. As a young child, then, I started developing soft skills to reach out to adults outside the family. I felt safe with an adult for the first time at 7 years old with my first second grade teacher. She got married and moved away during the school year. I have no memory of my second grade teacher who followed her. And then when I was 11, I said something to the principal of the school. It was an elementary Catholic school. The principal was Sister Vianney. I said something to Sister Vianney that she liked so much that she started inviting me to come to her office for conversation. How many kids do you think like going to the principal's office? I loved it. I remember sitting across the desk from her, opposite sides of the desk, talking and laughing. It was just wonderful. And at age 11, here I was talking to the most powerful person in the school, the principal, as an equal. She treated me as an equal during these conversations. So at age 11, I started feeling equal to any person in any room. I have never felt the imposter syndrome anywhere. When I started hearing about the imposter syndrome, I had to look it up because I had never felt like an imposter. Most people do not have an adult who treats them as an equal at age 11, particularly women. So I now tell people to remember that anytime you enter a room, you are a human being in a room full of human beings. That makes you equal in humanity to everybody in that room. Remind yourself of that every time you are with other people. And when you open that door to that feeling of equality, you could open doors to other feelings of equality. And so now
Wow. I'm just listening, and
okay. And so I kept going. I kept going with my soft skills. When I was 18, I didn't go to college because my mother would have chosen where I went and what I took, and I didn't want her to control that. So I got a menial job in a corporation, bottom level job. Well, I was still living at home, and my mother said toxic words to me every single day, except for Christmas Day. Christmas was the only day of the year I knew I wouldn't hear toxic words from my mother. So I got to this job and was going along just fine until I heard toxic words there, toxic words at work. A middle-aged woman in the department next to mine, started saying negative things about another employee. And I decided that I wasn't going to listen to toxic words at work if I could do something about it, because I had to listen to toxic words at home. So I did something about it, and I got the toxic words to stop. And it was just a little bit of soft skills that ended the toxic gossip. And then I had uh, been friendly with another woman who worked at the company, not in my department. We worked in different parts of the building and didn't see each other often, but I saw her crying in the hallway one day. And I pulled her into a stairwell and I said, I cry in here. This is where I cry. And so we became friendly. Then I would wave at her or say hello to her every time I saw her in the hallway. And then all of a sudden she stopped being friendly to me. She just ignored me. So my assumption is that someone said something negative to her about me. Toxic gossip. I developed a strategy. I just kept saying hello and waving at her. And after about a week, she was friendly again. And I think that the she became friendly again because the person who was the target of the bad gossip, the toxic gossip from the middle-aged woman, said something to her. So I stopped the toxic gossip about him, and he ended the stereotype about me. Which goes to show that when you use soft skills, you get benefits you didn't know you could get. And I've been doing this for decades now, using soft skills and attracting unimagined success. When I talk about soft skills, I describe it as taking positive control in the small spaces of situations and relationships. My ending the toxic gossip, the bad gossip, gossip is good, bad, or ugly. I ended the toxic gossip by having a conversation in a hallway with the target of the gossip. I told him that the middle-aged woman was saying bad things about him. Small space situation, took control by giving him the information, and he talked to her. I later saw him talking to her in the hallway. It's quite a hallway. So, and that ended it. And the small space in the hallway of just saying hello, that's a small space. And I've been doing that for decades now, and I've attracted all kinds of successes. And there are people who say that they don't like small talk or chit chat, but chit chatting with a wide variety of people in a wide variety of situations cultivates the confidence to create connections with particular people in particular situations for career conversations. And because I've been doing this for decades, I try to start conversations wherever I go because I see them as opportunities. Because I've been doing this for decades, I easily approached the host of an international podcast about including his podcast as a resource for soft skills strategies for yourself. I have 2 online self-study courses for teaching soft skill strategies to use with others. But lots of people, especially those who feel the imposter syndrome, think they don't deserve the success that could come their way from using soft skills. So I have 14 blog posts listing soft skill strategies to use with yourself in a wide variety of situations, including saving your life. And I approached this podcast host and said, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to include your podcast, episodes of your podcast, appropriate episodes of your podcast in my blog posts. And it would be nice to be a guest on your show as well. And he had me on his show as a guest. On my 72nd birthday, I became an international audience favorite on this podcast. I've done 2 podcast interviews so far on this show, and I'm doing another one this summer. So when you chit chat, when you use soft skills in small spaces, you open doors for all kinds of big opportunities, and you develop skills for having conversations for those big opportunities.
Wow. I've heard some stories, and like I said in the beginning, I have one myself, short version, child abuse, foster care, domestic violence, just to name a few things. But I've heard all walks of life. But your story, that's remarkable. I take my hat off to you that you were able to take such, tragedies and stuff that you've been through. And I've been through things with my mom too. So I can kind of relate. It's been mental and physical abuse, mostly with me. But wow, I wow, you have a story.
I,
And misdiagnosed, I wouldn't know what to do. And I'm just listening, like, oh my God, this woman is still here for a reason, just, like me. This is why I want to do this, to meet, people like you and hear your story, because I know everyone has gone through something
right.
and still healing, if you will, from any tragedy, mental, physical, sexual, whatever it may be. And it's amazing to hear that. And I also like to hear when they can take it and make it positive. And I
Mhm.
think I heard you mention something about, when you're hurting, you're going through things, it becomes familiar, because
Yes,
that's the only way you really know how to hurt people.
yes. Hurt
That's
people.
the way,
Right.
yeah.
My mother was hurt. So she hurt everybody
Yep.
who she saw as a threat to her. Yes, she was
Yeah.
hurt.
And it's sad. I went through it. I didn't know anything but lashing out and arguing and fighting and defending myself and caring what people thought. And it takes so much out of you. But a lot of us, unfortunately, from our upbringing, we really don't know any better. And we have to learn a lot
You have to learn. You have to learn.
the hard way.
And I want to say that the first small spaces that I took control in were my ears and my mouth, because I survived my childhood by listening to positive words I could trust. I could trust my father. I could trust his love. I was afraid of his rages, but I could trust his love. So I listened to positive words I could trust. I spoke positive words others could trust. And I spoke positive words to myself. I don't say negative things to myself. Sometimes if I do something stupid, I'll say that was stupid. But if
Yeah.
I say, you're stupid, I'm not stupid. I'm a smart person who sometimes does stupid things.
You
But
hear me?
yes, I say
Yeah.
positive words. It's always positive words, and people are attracted to positive words. And when people see you taking positive control in small spaces, they often will support you or give you other ways to be successful. That's happened to me continuously. In fact, I became a compulsive overeater, a binge eater, to bury my feelings, well, to bury the memories of being murdered, because I didn't know how to deal with them. And I took positive. I got rid of the and then, well, I didn't get rid of it. It faded over time. I wrote letters to the editor of a paper for consistently for 9 years, and that was taking positive control in a small space, writing letters. Because of my spinal injury, I had difficulty sitting and standing normally. And how do you earn money when you have difficulty sitting and standing normally? So I lived in poverty with my daughter. We got Social Security benefits, but my husband died very young, so the benefits were low. We got food stamps and rental assistance and Medicaid. And I was surrounded by people stereotyping single mothers as terrible people. So I started writing letters to the editor about poverty and about food stamps. And that was a small space in which I took control, telling people this is the way it really is. And there was a lot of hostility towards my letters. One woman wrote and said that I was hiding behind my daughter and looking for free handouts. Didn't matter that I was a widow. I was a single mother who was taking money out of her wallet. But I had a lot of positive reactions as well. And I moved to a village where a woman stopped me on the street and thanked me for writing the letters. I got a letter thanking me. I got a phone call. At one point, I wrote about Joseph McCarthy. I live in Wisconsin, where Senator Joseph McCarthy was a senator, and he was behind the Red Scare in the 50s that targeted a lot of Hollywood people and put a lot of people out of work. And someone had said something positive in the paper about Senator Joseph McCarthy. So I did a little research and found that he had harmed the lives of hundreds of Americans and wrote a letter to the paper to that effect. I got a phone call from someone who knew one of those hundreds of Americans, and he said McCarthy really had harmed her life. So that kind of feedback. My favorite was when I was 35. I started college when I was 35, and I took a class on tutoring writing because I'm a writer. And I walked into the classroom one day at the beginning of the semester, introduced myself to another non trad student, and her response was, "You're Paula Kramer? She's Paula Kramer? You're Paula Kramer?" And so that kind of positive feedback after my mother taught everyone in family to discount what I said and ignore what I did. Ignore what I said and discount what I did. So as adults, my siblings have treated me like a trespasser in their lives. And nobody in the family on either side believes that my mother tried to kill me because they believe my mother. So all that negativity, the negativity from being a single mother, the negativity from people who thought I was faking the pain in my back. And then I get all this positive reaction from my letters. After about 4 or 5 years, I realized I was binging less. The need to eat was fading away. My, my binge eating ended over about 9 years of writing letters to the editor. So I wrote letters to take a small space control for myself, and other people gave me what I needed to end my compulsive overeating. And I remember I began compulsively overeating to bury the memories of my being murdered because I didn't know how to deal with them. The compulsive overeating ended before I was able to say to myself, Mom did try to kill me, and to cope with it. So the positivity from all these other people replaced the compulsion that buried the memories and made it possible for me to eventually say, Mom did try to kill me, and to cope with the memories. So when you do use soft skills, you open the door for other people to create all kinds of unimagined success for you. I never imagined that I could end my eating disorder by writing letters to the editor, but that's how it happened.
That's amazing because, like I just said a minute ago, you can take so much tragedy and turn it into like a positive, and that's something I'm working on as well, is connecting with more people, interacting with more people as I go out and about on each day, and being treated as the black sheep in the family. You have so much that I can relate to. I'm the oldest child.
Oh,
Even I was treated like the black sheep, like I would never amount to anything. I could never do anything. I would never be good enough. And I was set up until the last 3 years, and that's really sad to say. That's what I actually thought, that I was stupid. I wasn't good enough for anything but, being in the bedroom, if you will.
right.
And I couldn't think on my own. And I would hear like, "You would never have this if it weren't for me. You never would have done anything if it weren't for me." And I'm stupid enough, like, is that true?
No, no, no,
And it's crazy. I really know, but that's how I actually felt. That's why I can relate to what you're saying so much, and fighting through all that. And like, no, I'm not stupid.
right.
I'm not lame. I've done so much. I'm so proud of myself. Even when I was homeless, like, that wasn't gonna be the end. That was a promise I made to myself and my kids, because I have 4 children. That wasn't gonna be the end. I'm gonna do something with my life. I never thought I'd be doing podcasting, never. But here I am, and I love it. I learned how to do music. I've taken the biggest thing I can say helped me is two things, actually, two things. Number one was accepting Islam because I am a follower of Islam. Two was writing. Started writing in the journal, then went to poetry, and then went to music. So learning how to really, and this is just for me, learning how to love myself and accept I'm human. I have flaws, and I don't know if you're gonna laugh, but I like to call myself a beautifully flawed mess. So
Sounds
I'm
good.
like, it is what it is. I made mistakes. I messed up. Now I'm learning how to be better, and I'm still gonna mess up. Like you said, it's not that you're stupid. Sometimes you just make mistakes. You just do things unintentionally, and I had to separate myself from a lot of people that were just like toxic and negative in my life. I still talk to my kids, of course, because they don't care. It's amazing, and I wasn't a perfect mother. I'm not. I would never say that, but they were still there. Like my oldest daughter, we talk every day. She's on my live stream on my TikTok right now, watching me talk to you. So they know, and no one is perfect, but you have people in your life that I know you're saying about your father, you were afraid of him, but you knew he still loves you. It's so crazy how that I don't know if I can explain it, but it's so crazy how that works out because a lot of us deal with inner anger and inner issues, but we still have all that love,
Right.
for someone else. So I say I've heard some things on my show, but Miss Paula M. Kramer, make sure I say that correctly. You have a story, and I'm pretty sure you already know that. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm just happy to see anybody, come out of anything hardship, whatever that they've gone through. So I take my hat out to you. Thank you for even, sharing your story. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate that. But what I wanted to ask was, is there a process when you meet women that you get them started on, a better path?
Well,
You
I, what I do is I look for people that could I could help in some way, and I actually contacted someone online on Facebook. She was Kenyan but living in Dubai at the time. She's still in the UAE, and she said something, and I messaged her, and we started a conversation, and I offered to do a workshop for her, an online workshop for her and for another woman from Kenya who is still living in Kenya. I just happened to connect with these two women, and I was doing live online workshops now. Now I just offer the self study courses, but I suggested this workshop to the two of them, and we did it. And oops, wrong woman. actually, actually, the woman that there was these two women who I have helped, and one of them has become a coach and is doing really well. And in response to my helping her, she has taken my second course and written me a wonderful testimonial. So I reached out to this woman to help her, and she gave me a wonderful testimonial. In the long run, another woman from Kenya. I have an affinity for Kenyans, apparently. I saw another woman posting about gender stereotyping at work, and so I contacted her and offered to do one of my online workshops for free for her, and offered to then meet with her once a month afterward to help her with her strategies. So she said yes. And on the day that we had the workshop scheduled, she showed up and she said, I invited a friend. I said, okay. I did the workshop for those two women. We set up a meeting for the next month. The friend, Rebecca, showed up. The other woman didn't. So I talked with Rebecca, and Rebecca said she didn't want to really talk about any career issues. She just wanted to talk about her personal life because she was having difficulty. And I said, okay. And so we did. And I gave her one piece of homework. I told her to make one positive statement to herself every day. She agreed, and we set up a date for the next month. The next month, when we met, she told me she had left a bad situation. She had moved to Nairobi. She had got herself a scholarship and she was going to school. And she was saying positive words to everybody who checked her out in the store. We kept meeting over time, and 7 months later, 7 months after we first met online, she told me that she was living with her uncle in Nairobi who traveled for his job. So she was alone at times and she was feeling lonely. So she decided that if she started an NGO, a non-governmental organization, she would have people to talk to. She could tell them what she knew, and she would have people to laugh with. So she waited for her uncle to come home. Her uncle had been in the Kenyan government. So she told him what she wanted to do. He said, make a list of what you want to do, and I'll get some colleagues together to help you get started. So he got colleagues from the government to help her get started. And she started Peace with Land Kenya, an organization to create, to solve problems, conflicts over land. And the Kenyan government approved her organization. So I offered to help this woman. One woman got another woman, gave her one piece of homework, and she has changed the world for all of Kenya, 55 million people. So you never
What?
know. You just
Nice.
never know.
That's the whole beauty of it. You never know. Like some people take their story and let it destroy them. Some take their story, like we've been hearing the whole interview, and they build bricks and take that and build a house with it. So it's just all about your mental, your attitude, and some of us have been through, oh my God, hell. That's the best way I can probably put it. But like I said, we both are here, still
Right.
here for a reason. It's amazing to hear your story. Thank you. You actually have me a little speechless, really, because I've heard some stories, but I've never heard of someone's mom trying to kill them. And I hear it on the news all the time, and I just shake my head.
I know.
None of us asked to be here, but we are. And some of us figure out our true purpose, if you will, and unfortunately, some don't. And we can say we are of the two that
Yeah.
have decided to do that.
Right.
Oh,
We,
wow. So, like we said, you have an amazing story. Thank you so much again for coming on the show. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Where can people find you at before we get out of here?
well, I have, for anybody who has had a similar experience to my childhood, I have a website called speakingfromtriumph.com. There's a page there called Murder Secret Families that explains the research behind these murder attempts and parents murdering children, and it shows, it includes portions of my journal. I have kept a journal since 1983, and so I wrote about coming to terms with my murder memories. And if you want to see that, it's on that page if you want to understand it. My soft skill strategies are at softskillstrategycourses.com, and there are 3 video lessons that are free right on the home page. So you could learn valuable information just by taking these 3 free lessons. Plus, I have smilesparksuccess.com that gives you all kinds of information to help you be more successful in relationships and to understand, help you make decisions about leaving relationships if you need to leave them. I left my relationship with my mother and my siblings because I figured out it wasn't worth the effort. So those 3 websites with lots of free information.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. Miss Paula M. Kramer, make sure we said that correctly. Thank you. Thank you so much for I think we said it's about 3, 4 times already for coming on the show and sharing your story. If you ever need us to help out with anything, because we can definitely relate, we love to extend that invitation, hopefully collaborate and work together on some other things, in the future. I definitely had to connect with, my guests. I don't want to just do an interview and then, we never speak again. So anytime you ever need anything, please feel free to contact me if you need someone to come through, talk, chat, whatever. We
Okay.
definitely like to keep that door open as well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And what we are going to do, you guys, is take a little break, play some music. Thank you again to Miss Paula M. Kramer for coming on the show. And we will be back on the Queen Mimi podcast. Thank you guys again. And thank you, Miss Paula. All right, you guys, and just like that, we are back on the Queen Candy Podcast on another edition of our Sunday Positivity Talk. Thank you once again to our special guest, Miss Paula M. Kramer, for coming on the show. Wow, like we said, we done heard some stories, but wow, we thought we've been through something. There's always somebody out there that's been through a lot worse than you. That's something that we've learned. As much as we think we're going through something, there's always somebody out there that's going through a lot worse. We know people don't like to believe that. I already know it seems like it's easier said than done. But for this woman to have suffered all these tragedies and, being shunned, being a black sheep in the family and whatnot, we know what that's like. Already know what that's like. And it seems like it's still like that till this day. But now we know a lot better and we brush it off like water off our back. It is what it is. And we always share our story here on the Queen Mimi podcast. But one of the reasons, like we said, we wanted to do free interviews, we are doing that right now, you guys, is to hear other people's story, to hear their background, where they done came from. And it's amazing, the stories we've heard so far. This one is the biggest one since we started doing this. And it's just been one of the rare times it's like we're still speechless. You know, family. We all know we don't choose or pick our family. We don't choose or pick our path. We make decisions that get us into certain situations. Don't get us wrong, but it's always some things that happen in our life that are out of our control. Very rarely, but majority, we in control. You're in control of your life. So that's it. That's all with that. But the way other people treat you, how they behave towards you, what they say, gossip, slack talk, all that crap, that's on them. That we have no control over what other people do. You can only control yourself. I think we've said that numerous times here on the show. And for people to go through such dark, wow, I would say we still speechless, dark situations like that, and you still, like us, are able to come out of it and do something positive with it and want to help other people. That's amazing too, because a lot of us go through things and we just say, forget everybody. You know what we're saying? I don't care. Nobody helped me when I was down. I'm not going to help them when I come up. I'm going to just think about myself. We done heard it all. Even with everything we've gone through, certain people, no, you're not going to get access when we make it. We're not going to say if, when. And what's up with Sheik? You're not going to get access. But certain people, especially our kids, they ain't got to worry about that. We still, even though people done did us wrong, still like to help out, try to be there as much as possible. We don't force no relationship at this point with anybody. We don't care if it's family, professional, personal, whatever. We're not forcing nothing. We ain't got no hate. We ain't mad at you, none of that. But we got to keep it moving because we got stuff to do. With everything we've gone through and everything we heard from Miss Paula, it's amazing that neither one of us decided to give up, what we're saying, and just quit. We don't even know how. It's like we have to keep going. We'll sit, be depressed, sad for a minute, been through all that, didn't eat, want to take care of ourselves, we done with all that. But once we do that snap back, it's a wrap. Just like now, we had to do that probably about a week or so ago. Do that pretty much every day. I don't care what I go through, I made a promise. And I'm going to have to deal with some BS a whole lot along the way. Oh my God. People not caring, just making money off of you, using you. And then when you ask for something, it's like you asking for something that's right for yours, and they treat you like you're doing the opposite. Hopefully that makes sense. But we just, nah. Do we dwell on our past? Do we focus on that? No. Is it a motivation for why we're doing what we do now? Want to connect with people and push ourselves to the next level and, do things a lot bigger and better? Yeah. Do I have anything to prove to anybody? Nope. At this point, I'm just like, forget it. Think what you want. If you're still stuck in the past, you're gonna have to move there and live in that house by yourself. But we had to cut a lot of people off. Like we already know Miss Paula said as well. You have to get to a point where you're gonna love yourself and really want to value and, like we said, take care of yourself. You get one shot at it. Ain't no do-overs once you gone. So why would we spend all this time focusing on the past, dwelling on it? I'm still got emotions and all this crap. But so and so did this to me. Blah blah blah. It's done. We believe in karma and we believe full-heartedly. What's up, 271? We believe wholeheartedly what people do, it always come full circle. Always. Don't nobody get away with nothing. We think we do for a minute, but not. You don't. You don't get away with nothing. So we just wanted to piggyback off what Miss Paula was saying and just, take something and make it mean something to you. Just like, only example we got is ourselves. But with our show, our podcast, our radio, especially, right? And that's the number one thing for us is doing music, because that's like the best expression for us. And just anything we've been through, good, bad, hell, dark days, long days, short, whatever, we able to do that in a way that we can't really talk to people. You know what I'm saying? It's easier. So that's why we love doing creative things, using our brain, because that's the best way to keep ourselves sane. We just keeping it real. That's the best way to keep ourselves sane and do something constructive. Especially when we have a bad day or a bad week, bad month, whatever, get the writing. That's like our therapy. And just saying positive things. We practicing that every day, even with all the mess we're going through and dealing with right now. We say positive things, affirmations, whatever you know, confidence, building all that up. Going through that pain and heartache, it can destroy it. And like we were telling Miss Paula, we actually believed we were lesser than. We weren't equal, we weren't good enough, and we competing with other people. Well, why are they getting more success than me? Why this person got what I didn't get? Because it wasn't for me. It never was. What Allah has for me, that's what I'm gonna get. Whatever's in His will, that's what's gonna happen. And following on Elijah Muhammad's teaching is gonna get us. We don't even know. We was about to say something we don't even know. And that's going to be the most beautiful part. Because the second we think about quitting, the second you think about quitting, like that's when the breakthrough going to happen. That's when everything going to come together full circle. So I'm just going to walk forward. Whatever people do, I don't care how wrong it is. I'm just going to walk forward, keep moving forward. And like we want to do with everything that we're involved in, even down to our jewelry, everything that we're involved in, we want to do something positive with it and help other women, especially with our show. Mainly, like we always say, with our music. We definitely want to do that. So that's why we always extend the invitation. People be like, why is she saying that on the show? She can talk to them in private. We just like to, that's something we like to do. We like to show support. No matter what background you come from, because you never know. I was telling Miss Paula, you never know where that breakthrough can come from. That's why we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And you never know where that one opportunity going to come from. You never know. It can come from anywhere. The least person you expect, the least opportunity you expect, and we quit. And then we miss it. We miss that blessing. We miss that one thing. And that's what one of the positive things that we say to ourselves, keep doing what you're doing. We love what we do. And we just realized, like, with working, okay, I got to pay this, I got to take care of that. It was like taking the fun out of everything that we do. Like when you get on the show, you got to be perfect. You got to look good, do it. We have to have things a certain way. Don't get us wrong, but enjoy and let's just do what we do. Everything else will fall in line. That one opportunity gonna come, and even if it don't, hello Phil. Even if it doesn't, hey, still keep going. We ain't trying to be famous or popular. We just love doing what we do. That's it, and everything else gonna fall in line. So thank you once again to Miss Paula M. Kramer for coming on the show. Thank you to everyone on our TikTok, Bigo, on our YouTube, LinkedIn, and of course Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, for coming on and joining the show. We're gonna play one more track for you guys, and we're gonna come back, give y'all social media, and we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We'll be right back, you guys. All right, and just like that, we are back, you guys, on the Queen Mimi podcast on another edition of our Sunday Positivity Talk. So, as always, we're going to give y'all all our social media, and then we're going to go ahead and get out of here. First and foremost, you guys already know you can check out the Queen Mimi podcast this Sunday and every Sunday live at 8:30 a.m. We are in Central Standard Time, you guys, spreading positivity, motivation, and of course, you can follow us on all our platforms. Our Facebook page, which is currently the Queen Candy Podcast, we got to get that changed over. I figure out how to do that, but as soon as we figure it out. Right now, you can go over there, Queen Candy Podcast, Manima Muhammad, and look us up on our Facebook, our Instagram, Queen Mimi Podcast, LinkedIn, Queen Mimi, and of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the Queen Mimi Podcast, and we will subscribe back to your YouTube channel as well. You can catch us live on there each and every Sunday, talking about parenting, relationships, religion, like we said, spreading positivity and motivation on all platforms, you guys. And you can also the Queen Mimi Podcast and the Queen Mimi Radio Show. This is our brand new flyer, you guys. Are offering radio spins for independent artists only. You want to do the 2-week deal? You can be featured on the Queen Mimi Podcast for $25. That'd be for 2 weeks. Or if you want to do the whole 1 month deal, you will be featured on the Queen Mimi Podcast and the Queen Mimi Radio Show. Queen Mimi. Now be the $50 deal, and of course that would be for the whole entire month or whenever you start. You can follow us on all our platforms: Facebook, the Queen Candy Podcast, Instagram, and once again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which will be the Queen Mimi Podcast, you guys. So, like we said, we're working on doing a whole bunch of things, you guys. Of course, can't forget our magazine. Good to be home. We do this through Reminding Media. You guys can go to our Facebook, Manima Muhammad, our Facebook page, the Queen Candy Podcast, and you can go to our LinkedIn, which will be Queen Mimi. Click on the link. That's there on the page. Put your information in. You know, we are not selling this, you guys. Don't be trying to shut me down. And you can click on the link, put your information in, and you will get a free copy of the magazine every time we do a new edition. It's every other month. We have a new edition coming out. So like we said, we have so much going on, you guys. Very excited. Y'all already know we love what we do. That's it. That's all. Our tragedy is becoming purpose. Our pain is becoming a blessing, and we're going to keep moving and keep doing what we love to do. That's it. That's all, you guys. So with all that being said, thank you. Thank you to everyone for coming and check us out on our LinkedIn, our YouTube channel, and X, formerly known as Twitter. You can follow us on our TikTok as well, Queen Mimi. We go live on there. And on Bigo, Queen Mimi as well. We go live on all them platforms. So we got 2 cell phones sitting right here and our laptops. So that's why I see us looking in different directions. So we do all of that as well, you guys. Y'all stay safe. Take care of yourself out there. I have to get out here and get to work. So we're going to be working all day. Got to still pay the bills, y'all. Y'all know how I go. We're going to get out here and get to work. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. And we will see you guys Tuesday for our Queen Mimi radio show. Y'all have a good one.